Prime Timers, what's going on? It's Dominic from the Primetime Treasure eBay store and YouTube channel. Thanks a lot for coming by to check out another video. In this video, I'm going to do a follow-up to the prior video in which I discussed with you how you can significantly yet indirectly help your reselling business by creating an alternative revenue stream that could basically cushion you on days where maybe things are going slow on eBay or Poshmark or wherever else you resell, or can significantly increase your daily revenue so that you could have further money to invest into growing and developing your business. And the way I suggested doing that, and it's a way that you could bring in easily, once you set it up, over $10,000 a year in revenue, is by creating a personal blog in an area of your expertise or interest, and essentially develop the content and the reputation of that blog so that advertisers will pay you to put links to websites that are products or services that basically need exposure or want exposure out there on the internet. And you could provide basically a medium for that or a mechanism for that to happen. And there are a lot of companies, a lot of people out there looking to get that exposure. So this is an area that is rife with opportunity. Please go back and watch my prior video in which I discussed the beginnings of this. That video, though, was done under some time restraints. This video really isn't. And so I want to go over some things in more detail that I didn't get to cover in that video. So, or I want to go into in a little bit more detail. So let's just go back over to my blog here. And you can see here, it's the MedFriendly medical blog. I did mention this in the prior video that I purposely keep that title broad so that I could draw in as many advertisers as I want to. Now, you could do it on any topic that you want to. You could even do it about reselling if you want to, but keep it broad. So maybe you want to do it on pets. I know there's a lot of people who follow me in my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. Link to that's down below if you'd like to join, who have dogs as their icons. As you know, I'm a big dog lover. Maybe you want to do a blog about dogs. Well, guess what? There's going to be a lot of pet food companies, and there's going to be a lot of pet insurance companies that want to advertise their services and their products. There's pet medication companies, pet pharmacies, all these sort of pet toy companies. You know, just think in that area alone, how many potential companies are out there that would want to advertise on your site. But you don't want to limit it to just dogs, right? You want to keep it as broad as possible so you could bring all sorts of pet products into your site. So even though you might primarily write on dogs, keep the title general so that you could bring in as many advertisers. So that's first point I want to just make sure I reinforce for you as you're thinking about what area you want to be in and what you would potentially name your blog. Now, if you have questions after this video is over, you could feel free to put those comments in the comment section and I will try to answer them there, or I could potentially do another video about this topic depending on what type of questions that come in. Aaron asked me to do another video on this topic, which is one of the main reasons I'm doing it, but a lot of people also had a positive response to it, lots of likes, lots of good comments, so I take it people are interested in it and probably would like to know a little bit more. Now, one question people might have is, who is actually contacting you? Is it the company themselves? Sometimes it is, not every time it is. Let's take a look at this blog right here, which you can see is on senior home care. Now, it provides useful information about that topic, and you could see here there's lots of other links. These are called basically extra links. In other words, this one here and this one above it, they're just extra links to make it, you know, look like I am linking to other things as part of a natural article. because that's important for, when it's listed and indexed in Google, is, Google wants it to look as natural as possible, not that it's paid for content. So that's a strategic way to kind of accomplish that. That's why you'll see that a lot. But there are some companies that will just include one link, but this one is more typical of what will happen, which multiple links. But it's North River Home Care, which is the company that is ultimately paying to be placed onto my site. Now, sometimes it's the company themselves who will reach out to me, but other times it's a third party. I don't remember in this particular case because there's just so many blog entries up. But third-party companies are the people who do this. They're usually called content managers, and they work for SEO companies. That's the letters SEO for search engine optimization. And basically what happened is that a company like a home care company would reach out if they don't have a lot of technical know-how or expertise or technical staff members, and they would say to this third-party site, hey, listen, we want to get our brand out there. We want to get our company out there. We want people to know about us. So, here's a budget. Here's $5,000. Do what you can and get us out there. And so that content manager reaches out to me and asks if they could get this guest blog entry entered into my site. And I focused on that a lot in the prior video, which is the guest blog entries or guest blog posts, which this is obviously an example of. But one of the things I didn't mention is that I have at least one company right here, and I've had others in the past, but right now it's just this one, who will pay just to be on the sidebar of the blog. And this is a monthly rate that I charge for that because it's in really primo location, so $50 a month. And this particular client, Dental Mouth Guard for teeth grinding, they've been with me for years. So $50 a month for years. I mean, this is thousands of dollars that's come in over time just for this one company. And all I had to do is I wrote 6 words. That's it. And I linked to it. And in terms of how I set that person up for payment, well, you could just create a payment subscription plan through PayPal. You could send the person the button, or you could put the button like this on your website and just tell the client to go over to it. And they just hit subscribe, enter their email information, and then automatically on that day of the month, the money is taken out of their PayPal account and it's put into your account. So there are days I'll wake up where I have $100 that's deposited into my account first thing in the morning. I haven't even done anything yet with regards to eBay, and I've already made $100. So, that's great. That's going to be a great day. And then when someone comes in and lowballs me, I just laugh and say, just decline it because, I'm pretty good. I'll just wait till someone else comes along with a better offer. So it gives you more flexibility to be able to operate like that in your reselling business, which is one of the reasons that I like it. So that was just something extra I wanted to tell you about another way. So that 13,466 number that I gave you, that's not all from blog entries per se, but it also does account for these text links on the side that happen from time to time. So that's something to consider as well in terms of just another revenue stream that you can have there. So in terms of how the actual blog post will come into you, it's going to come in through the form of a Microsoft Word entry most usually. Sometimes people will write the blog post within the email, or they'll send you a Google Docs file. Whichever way they send it, all you have to do is you copy it like this, just Control A, then Control C, copy it, and you should paste it into and I already have it pasted here, into a notepad file, because the notepad file is free of any hidden content that's kind of behind the scenes that could basically code, in other words, I should really say code instead of content, which could mess things up for you when you go to post it into a site like Blogger. So here, for example, you would just plop it in here and you put the title right up here, and basically then all you have to do is I already put it in here to just kind of preset it for this purpose of this video, but then what you have to basically do is you just have to go in and you have to do a little editing. So maybe this part needs to be bolded, so you just bold it. Maybe you need to add the link over here, so you just highlight it, you hit the word link, and then you just plop the link in, and you're all set. It's very, very easy to do this, even if you don't have a lot of technological know-how. Then you just hit publish, and voila, you've got your post right here, and you're all set. So in terms of rates, I mentioned to you in the prior video that I charge $60 to $80 depending on the situation. So $80 if the person is not going to submit multiple blog posts per month, or if they just are not someone who's trying to negotiate with me in any way. I tell them the rate is 80. If they want to keep paying 80, then that's fine, and we'll just keep doing it at 80. If I write the post, it's 150. And if they want a lower rate, what they basically have to agree to is bulk. So they have to agree to $60 to $70, depending on just how the negotiation goes, and if they're willing to submit multiple blog posts per month. Now, you will get people who will try to lowball you. So you'll get people who will say, I don't have a high budget, I can only do it for 10 bucks. Do not accept that. Someone will then, that same person will then say $15 or $20. And I'm so used to this by now that what I basically do to people who do those extreme lowballs, which tend to be from India, that's where I tend to get these lowball offers that come in. I basically say, until you're willing to pay me the actual rate, I'm not going to respond to the emails. So, and either they come back and say, okay, we'll pay the rate, or you know, they're not going to do it. So, you know, most of the time you don't have to deal with that, but it will happen from time to time that you'll get those lowball offers, and it's very similar to you know, how things work on eBay in terms of counter offering and going back and forth. You definitely have to negotiate and use negotiating skills. Just happened the other day where someone had agreed to a $60 rate, and that was the deal. And now the deal was multiple blog posts a month for $60. So the person sends me 3 blog posts, sends me the articles, and says, here they are, but the client could only pay $150. So I don't have any patience for that type of stuff, because when we make a deal and then you try to backtrack off it and do kind of like a bait and switch, now I don't trust you. So what I basically had to do is basically stand firm and say, no, the agreed upon price was 180. So we go back and forth, and the person says, well, what if we go up 10 bucks? I could get the person to go up 10 bucks. So we'll do it for 160. No, the price is 180. So the person says, well, you know, I need to know within 4 hours because that client is not willing to, you know, up the price any. So I basically said, well, you need to tell the client that they're getting a permanent blog post. Okay, so no recurring fees for the blog post. This here, this dental mouth guard, that is recurring. But for the blog post itself, that's not recurring. It's a one-time fee. Plus, they're getting social media promotion. I put it on Twitter. I put it on, you know, my MedFriendly homepage. I mean, it goes multiple places. So they're getting a great deal for a one-time fee. So a person says, no, you know, sorry, the most they could do is 170, and you know, I really appreciate, you know, just if you could do that. Well, no. See, it gets into principle. Could I do it for 170? Sure, but I've got to value my time because I have a busy YouTube channel, I've got a Facebook group, I've got an Instagram account, I've got an eBay business I'm running, I've got a full-time job, I've got a million other things I'm doing, so I don't have time to play games. So we've got to stick with the original rate, which is 180. So a person tells me, all right, well, if you can't do the 180, I'm going to walk. So I said, okay, fine. Sorry about that keep happening there. I don't know why that keeps happening there. Here, don't show that message again. All right, so anyway, I said, okay. So the person says, okay, I'm going to go to another site now. So I said, okay, bye. And sure enough, within about 5 minutes, the person wrote me back and said, okay, let's do it for the 180. So then I put the 3 blog posts up. And that's just a lesson. I've said this a million times before, but if you're new to my channel and you're young and you're just starting out in business and you're new to negotiations, the person willing to actually truly walk away from the deal is usually the person who's going to make out in the deal. So now sometimes you'll lose out, but for the most part, it's going to work out in your favor. You know, if you're willing to do that, and you have a firm basis by which to actually do that. Okay, so just again, just keep that in mind with regards to business negotiation. But another thing I want you to keep in mind is great customer service. So once someone signs up with me and they're willing to work with me, and I have a lot of repeat customers. I mean, I have people who literally send me blog posts every week, okay? And have been doing it for years. So it's like guaranteed revenue stream, and they do it because they know that my service is fast, just like my eBay business. Someone buys something from me on eBay, it's out within 24 hours. You submit a guest blog post to me, it is up and sent to you within 24 hours. Pretty much almost always the same day. In terms of payment, I expect payment within 3 business days. It is customary for you to put the blog post up first and then get paid later. But keep track of who hasn't paid you, because if they haven't paid you within 3 days, especially if they are new, you need to respond to them, let them know that if payment doesn't come by such and such day, maybe give them another day or two and give them a time by 5 p.m. Eastern time that you are going to remove the post and that you are going to require advance payment from that time forwards. And I actually have someone in that situation now in which they have to pay in advance because there was a time that they had let payment lapse and actually never paid for a blog entry. And I don't like doing work for free and wasting time. So there has to be a consequence to that type of thing, or people will take advantage of you in this area, as they will in other areas of life and business. You have to be willing to, make sure there's a consequence that gets implemented if somebody, doesn't stick by the actual terms of the original agreement, which you should set in stone in advance. Before you post anything, I basically have a general email that I send out to people in which I lay out the terms and I let them know, hey, here's what the situation is. Now, they might have questions and they might ask me to be flexible on certain points, and can I do this and can I do that, and I let them know yes or no if I can. So make sure you get all that stuff in writing in advance. I don't do any of this stuff by phone. I let them know it all has to be done by email because I want a written record if anything goes wrong in terms of what happened, in terms of any miscommunication, which rarely there is, but sometimes it happens, and so it's good to have that to fall back to. Now, a lot of these places are going to tell you they do not want the post labeled guest blog post. So they don't want it to say up top, guest blog post senior home care. I could understand that. At the same time, it's my personal blog as it will be yours. So you need some way to differentiate between whether it's something you wrote or whether it's something they wrote. And I explain that to them and they always understand that. And so what your option is down below here. You are going to just write, this is a guest blog entry or this is a guest blog post. There's some people who don't want that, and so what I mean when I say it works out in every case is your other option is to say this is a blog post by such and such, and just put the name in that they give you in terms of who wrote it. If they don't want to say that, then you could just put what's called an author bio, and they'll supply that to you, and you just plop that down there, and then you're all set with your author bio. Make sure you have integrity in terms of what you put up, because you will get people who send you stuff that's absolute garbage. So there may be, for example, in my area, they'll send something about some treatment that's controversial that has no scientific merit to it. Or it will be a doctor who's trying to advertise his practice and he's trying to rebuild his reputation because he had lost his license previously, or he was arrested for DWI, and or he had abused a patient or something like that, and now wants to get on my site. No way. Or it could be a company that just recently, got hit with a big fine for something controversial that they did, misleading statements. No way. Not putting it on my blog. That's my reputation. That's my business's reputation. And when my readers come to the site, they need to know they're getting information they can trust, that's reliable. So it's way, way better to turn down that one blog post of $60 to $80 in order to make sure you maintain a reputable site that when other potential advertisers see it, that they want to be on there. Because trust me, the reputable advertisers do not want to be on a site that has all sorts of other shoddy businesses that are linked to it. And I have some major companies that you would easily recognize that advertise on this site. I mean, I even have TurboTax that advertises on here, and you might say, how does TurboTax link up to healthcare in any way? And you basically have to be creative sometimes in terms of how you get that content written so it fits within there. I may have explained this earlier in an example, but if you did something with like a cleaning product, cleaning product, you might not think, well, how is that cleaning product related to healthcare? Well, if you could say, well, hey, this cleaning product, it cuts down on bacteria, and by doing that, if you use it in hospitals, it cuts down on infections, and so it could cut down on infection rates. So you just gotta, sometimes be creative in terms of how you link the information. Maybe you talk about TurboTax in the context of making sure you're taking your proper healthcare deductions and things like that. So, you could usually find ways to fit the company within your blog theme in some way. Sometimes you can't. If you can't, you guys gotta maybe stay away from it. If you're running AdSense, which I do, I have AdSense ads on here. You have to be careful not to accept certain content that's restricted. So, for example, any type of, and yes, I do get these requests that sometimes adult-oriented sites want to advertise on MedFriendly on the blog. I can't let that happen because Google AdSense has strict policies about that. So they don't want anything like that. In terms of like sex toys and stuff like that listed on the site where their AdSense content is, or you could lose your AdSense account. And I actually had that happen to me once. That was actually an AdSense jail. Believe it or not. This is many, many years ago, and you almost never get that back, and miraculously, I was able to get the account back. So you got to be real careful with that type of stuff. So I just tell anyone who submits that type of stuff to me, sorry, I'm not putting that type of content on my site. And it wasn't that I had put the content on my site, but it was just that there was a few words that they didn't like. That they thought were more adult oriented, and so you got to be really careful and make sure you know the policies of third-party advertisers that you have running on your blog. So let's see, trying to think if there's anything else I want to tell you about the ins and outs of this. Yeah, I mean, I told you about the people who lowball you. Told you about making sure you run the blog with integrity. This isn't going to be something that, again, I talked about this in the prior blog, that's going to happen overnight, but, you just got to get started with it somehow. I told you the main areas, look into it, see if there's something there you could work with, and see if there's ways you could promote it, get it out there. It is important, I think, that you create a Twitter account and, maybe an Instagram account. I mean, I have Twitter, Facebook for MedFriendly. I also had a Google Plus account, like I mentioned. I have a Pinterest account. So whenever anyone posts something, or when you're starting out and you post a blog entry, make sure that you use hashtags and you enter it, like here, onto onto your Twitter account, and use hashtags if you can. Like you can see here, what causes insomnia and how to treat it. Well, if a sleep aid company is searching hashtags for insomnia, they might click on the article, see it's a guest blog post, and say, hey, this guy's accepting guest blog posts. Let's get our company on there. And I actually get a lot of emails that say something like that. Hey, we saw you had this blog post on this topic. Well, we have one too. We'd like you to post it. So, it's a way of just basically, promoting things. Here's a way too, on the very top of my Twitter page, you see here I have looking for a great way to advertise your health website client, then look no further, and I basically explain things. Try to have some area on your blog or website in which you explain why you're a site that they should advertise on. So you can see here, here's my advertising page, and this is just generally all the different types of advertising options that I have available. So you can go click that, go check it out, or pause this and read it, and give them reasons. Give them the reasons why they should advertise there. Explain it, flesh it out for them. And I have one that's very specific, actually, on the actual blog entries. And that one's right here. So you could see here, I say things like no recurring fees. I do social media promotion. I cross platform promote it in other ways. I'm fast with my service. I good courtesy. I give good customer service. I'm flexible, as I described here, with how to name the entry. I do a professional writing service if someone needs it. And then I have my disclaimer down here, which I also use when I send the person an email in response to their question. So I guess that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much the main points. I mean, if there's something I haven't answered at this point about how to set up this blog and basically how it works and how you could, bring in this type of money, please let me know. And like I said, I will try to answer it for you. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. As I normally say, make sure you come to the Facebook group. That's down below in the description section. Check out my Instagram account. That's down there too, @PrimeTimeTreasure. That's an underscore between those words. There's no S at the end. And make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. Share it with others. Try to get the word out there. And please subscribe to the channel. We keep going up. We've got about 100 subscribers to the channel over the past week, which is great. So channel seems to be growing in a good direction. And remember, I've got a live show on Wednesday night with some major news and announcements, so you will not want to miss that one. I'll see you all at the next video, everyone. Take care.